Welcome to the Daily Dosage. I'm Pat Beach.
I'm John Lorge.
We're about to give you another dose of NFL football. A couple of primetime quarterbacks have made the news this week. One's on his way back in, the other's on his way out. So, John, what do you think about Brett Favre not deciding to play for the Minnesota Vikings this year?
I respect the decision Brett Favre made. He did take his time. He wanted to make sure that he was really ready to be done. The biggest problem I have is all the people out there bashing Brett Favre, saying that he shouldn't have done this. I don't think Brett Favre invited ESPN into his living room every day. Brett Favre is an ultra-competitive person. He wanted to make sure he was really done before retiring. You see so many times guys say they have a little left in him, and anyone who doesn't respect Brett Favre or what he's done, they're just not an NFL football fan.
Yes, clearly this guy was on his way to the Hall of Fame, so you just got to respect the player a little bit. But what way do you think Minnesota's going to go now that they're not going to have Favre playing quarterback for him?
Right now, the Vikings are looking at two options at quarterback. That's Tavares Jackson and Sage Rosenfeld. And really, neither of them are that good. We've seen flashes out of Jackson. He has a little more experience in the pocket, and especially with the Vikings. And towards the end of the season, he did look pretty good. On the other hand, Rosenfeld's a little more of a pocket guy, a better downfield passer. But that implosion that he had against Indianapolis when he single-handed lost that game, if I'm Brad Childress, I just cannot play a guy that does that.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to really trust a quarterback that single-handedly lost a team a game. So let's talk about one of the most controversial quarterbacks. He's coming back in the NFL this year. He's done fighting dogs. We're talking Michael Vick. What do you think?
Yeah, Mike Vick. First thing I want to see is how he does, and so I'm in high anticipation of those preseason games. But the only question is, who will he be playing for in those games? So right now, we've been hearing rumors of Seattle, former Atlanta coach Jim Moore Jr., and even offensive coordinator Jim Knapp from the Falcons are familiar with Vick. He knows their system, and they speak really highly of him. So there's an option there. But do you think the fans in Seattle are ready for Mike Vick?
It's tough to say, but I'd give them the benefit of the doubt. Seahawks fans want to see wins. And with Matt Hasselbeck and Seneca Wallace at quarterback, I see a big question mark right there. And Vick could potentially fill that void. I mean, Hasselbeck has injuries. Seneca Wallace, I'm not really saying he's an NFL-level quarterback, a player that could take a team to a championship where Seahawks fans expect to go. What do you think?
Yeah, the Hawks fans are accepting of a middle linebacker getting a DUI, of an outside linebacker passing out of his car from smoking weed. So, even though Mike Vick has a few blemishes on him, I think that they'll be able to look past that. And if Vick has turned the page, I think Seahawks fans will accept him.
Yeah, I agree. So, what other teams may be looking at Vick?
Really, with his past, you have to think a team down in the South would be most accepting of Mike Vick. And there's been rumors of the Jaguars, but they've kind of tried to squash that. They say they're not too interested. Tampa Bay Bucks have too many quarterbacks, and the Falcons aren't going to bring him back. So maybe the Carolina Panthers, Jake Delhomme, they did sign him to a big deal this offseason, but at the same time, he's pretty fragile. There's a good chance he's going down. So there's a lot of teams out there. Vic says that he's really close to something, but we're not hearing a whole lot. And if it's not Seattle, it might be the UFL, the new league.
What team would he play for there?
It's hard to say. Maybe Las Vegas. They're a team that's really willing to gamble on a player like Mike Vick. So it would be huge for the UFL. They want it to happen, but it's a question if Vick wants to solidify himself as a quarterback in another league and then try and get back into the NFL, if he wants to be the face of the UFL, or if he just wants to try to make it in the league that he started in.
So when Vick is starting off this season, let's say he's playing in the NFL, do you see him starting off doing some wildcat formation type stuff or just doing more traditional quarterback type stuff?
Well, right now we're not going to be able to see Vick until at least week 6. That being said, Commissioner Roger Goodell could lessen that suspension, and he might even be able to play by week 1. So when we do see Vick, I anticipate him having to do a little bit of wildcat things. I think the wildcat is going to evolve. We're going to see more quarterbacks doing it and not just receivers or running backs. So if Vick is willing to, he was willing to try out the shotgun, or he was willing to try out the option in Atlanta. So I think that Vick would be a guy willing to do the wildcat, especially if that is what it's going to take to get him back in the NFL.
So sticking to quarterbacks, who are your top couple of fantasy quarterbacks for this upcoming season?
Right now, I have the icons. I have Tom Brady and Peyton Manning at the top of my list, 1 and 2. A lot of people have Drew Brees there, but they're not taking a look at the schedule. New Orleans plays the AFC East and the NFC East non-conference, and that's a big step up from the guys they played last year. So I think Brady and Manning, you're not going to go wrong drafting them. There might be one guy that outthrows them, somebody that has to throw for 4,500 yards or something ridiculous, but you're always playing it safe for those two guys.
I noticed you didn't say anything about Patriots quarterback from last season, Matt Castle. What do you see for him this year?
I'm just not sure about Castle. One thing I don't like is that they got rid of Tony Gonzalez. So a guy who he was going to look for to really get the ball to quickly and even down the field, he's now gone. And Dwayne Bowe's a pretty good receiver, but one guy is not enough. And then also, they're going to run a little different scheme there. They're not going to look to air it out as much. They want to pound it through the ground. Larry Johnson said he wants to be a 400-carry guy. So I'm not sure that Castle's going to have a chance to really go deep. If they want to win football games, it's going to be through ball control, running the football.
Do you have a potential sleeper quarterback, maybe some guy could pick up in a later round?
I'm really high on David Garrard. He dropped 20 pounds this offseason, and while that might sound weird or that he lost muscle or something, I just think he's going to be in the best shape of his life. Could potentially run for over 500 yards, and the AFC South plays a really weak schedule non-conference this year. So I think Garrard's going to have a really good chance. Plus, you have big game Troy Holt there now.
Yeah, you should definitely trust this guy's fantasy predictions too. He's the only guy that's ever led me to a win in any type of fantasy league when he told me to draft Dante Culpepper in a late round. That's all for the Daily Dosage. Check out some more broadcasts.
You got questions, we got answers. Let us know in the comments, subscribe to our channel, and rate our video 5 stars. My question for you is, do you want Mike Vick playing for your team?